Hi guys, it's Marta with Fun in Third. For those of you who are new here, my name is Marta. I am a third grade math and science teacher in Houston, Texas. Next year, the 2020-2021 school year, I will be an English language arts teacher. So that's why you see all of the books. So on my last episode, I did a haul and I went out shopping for books. So I will link that episode in the description below if you want to take a look at that. But today I'm going to be talking about how the system that I am going to use for next year to totally make my library digital and student led. If you're interested in that, keep on watching. Okay, so I am back. So on the last episode, as you saw, I went out and purchased a lot of books because I didn't have any books to start the school year next year because I'll be teaching English language arts. So I end up getting I have about maybe 240 books from various different places, thrift stores, Goodwill, half price books, a couple, and I know I have some donations that's going to be at the school. So I believe that I have a good start to my library, and I want to stop there because I want to see what my students' needs are before I purchase any more books so that I can get more books according to the levels that I want them to be on. So now I have a varying level of books. In our district, we use guided reading level. I know there's Lexile, there's DRA. Now, I am talking from a math and science teacher point of view. So I'm going to be sharing a few things, I guess, from the outside looking in. But this is how I feel that I'm going to run my classroom, or way that things that I am going to implement once I do become an English language arts teacher. Now, these perspectives may change, and I will share that later if they do. So anyway, before I start and get deep into it, go ahead and grab a cup of coffee and your favorite pen and planner or tablet because this may be a lengthy video. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to do when I was deciding how I was going to get these books organized was to figure out a way that I can put my books totally online. I wanted my catalog to be totally online where I can get myself two librarians as managers to help me, where I would have one librarian checking the books out and one librarian checking the books in. That way I really don't have to do anything but just kind of verify that they're doing it correctly, and that way the computer will keep track of the book counts. So I'm not going to screencast this. I'm just going to do this the old-fashioned way for lack of time. And I'm going to show you. You will need to, if you have a huge library and you want to take it digital, you will need to put two things, and both of them have apps. You're going to need Library Thing. So you could just go to librarything.com, and let me show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like. Okay, so once you log into librarything.com, this is the screen that you will see. You will go in and create yourself a membership. It's totally free. And then once you log in, you will see the other screen that I have pulled up, which is how my library catalog looks once you enter in your books. To enter your books, you're going to need to download the Library Thing app from the App Store. So let me show you what the app looks like. And the app will allow you to um, enter every book into your catalog by simply scanning it in. So this is what it looks like. Okay, and this is directly from my phone. So if I wanted to add a book to my catalog, all I have to do is to press this plus sign, and then I could either do it by search bar or I could do it by just clicking on the barcode. So now I have a book that I'm going to show you how to add in. Now this book I've already added in, but just for clarity purposes, I'm just going to show you how to log it in. So now I've clicked on the plus, and this is what it looks like. You're going to just scan it. It's going to search the book, and then there it is. Now you see the little yellow tab that says duplicate copy. So now there's a duplicate copy of that book, which I do have a duplicate copy, but I don't have 3. So I'm going to have to go back into the catalog and delete that out. It's very, very user friendly. I'm sure all of my teachers, you guys will figure out how to use it. Now, if you want a more in-depth video on how to use Library Thing, put a comment below, and then I will do a walkthrough of Library Thing on a separate video where I can screencast it from to my camera instead of doing it this way. But for lack of time, because I have so much to cover, I was just trying to introduce you and show you what the software. Okay, so anyway, Library Thing is totally free. Now, the second thing that you're going to need in order for your kiddos to be able to check the book out is librarycat.org. And Library Cat and Library Thing works together. So now, here is Library Cat. Okay, so now I'm going to refresh my screen. Let's see here. All right, so now I haven't had any transactions on there yet because I haven't checked any books out. But what patrons means, those are your students. So you're going to have to go in and add your students in. I haven't added any students in. So of course no one can check any books in or out yet because I haven't added in any students. But basically, now Library Cat is going to require you get a 30-day free trial. But after the 30 days, it's going to prompt you to do some type of subscription. And I believe the cheapest one is $3 a month. So I believe that's very economical. And I believe that subscription will work perfectly for me because my library is not really big. So now if you look where it says records, you'll see those are the books, and that is my catalog that I have in. So they have where you can check in and out, and this is where I will. Now, when I clicked on catalog, you see all of the books that I have in my library are now scrolling across the screen, and this is what your students will use. This will be the program that your students will use and your librarians will use to check your books in and out. So I believe that that's going to work really well for me this coming school year because I don't want to have to keep up with any Google Forms, Google Docs, signing in and signing out books. I don't want to be bothered with it. I want everything totally digital so that they can get used to I guess similar to how they check books out in the school library. Okay, so now that you have a resource and pretty cheap resources, free and cheap resources to upload your books, now you need to take time to upload your books, store them, and get them entered into your library. So now I've done that. I have scanned each one of my books into my catalog online. So now I have to figure out how I'm going to shelve my books to make it easier for my students to pull them. Now, I will not be using any type of bins. And I know that traditionally teachers sort their books by levels and bins. I will not be using bins for my library. I am using bins in my classroom, but not for the library. The reason why, here's why. Because of the labeling system that I'm using. Now, traditionally, I know that a lot of, and this is just from a math perspective, I know that a lot of teachers have students to read books by levels. You know, if you're on level O, that's the type of book that you need to read. Well, honestly, that's not how I'm going to do things in my upcoming classroom. I actually do not agree with that. And, you know, I could be wrong, but I personally feel like outing a student's level may make them feel ashamed to read. You know, in addition to that, I feel that I don't want my students to be limited by what level they're on. I actually prefer them to read above their level because that's what I'm there for. The name of the leveling system is guided reading system. So that's what I'm there for. If it's something that they don't understand, that's going to be my job to guide them into the level until they are at their best level of reading. So I am not going to require my students to stick to level O or stick to, because third grade is LMNO, I believe. I am not going to require my students to stick only to a level O or stick only to a level N. I'm going to encourage them. If I have a student that want to read a level Z book, I'm going to encourage them to go for it. And if they need help with it, that's what I'm there for. Because and another thing too is that I will not. I am kind of back and forward with sharing reading levels with students because it's kind of demeaning. You know, a student may feel like, oh, well, I'm on, last year, I know that I had students on varying levels, and I had some pretty students that were really behind levels. I had a student that was on a level D. So imagine how they feel knowing that they're on a level D versus I had a student that was fifth, sixth grade level. So imagine how they feel knowing that they're at a level D and this other student is at a level, you know, S. So I just don't, in my English language arts class, I don't want my students worrying about what levels they're on. Now, I do know that student accountability and responsibility is all part of it. I get it. I definitely get that. And I am going to encourage that. But I'm going to try, you know, to figure out a way to help my students to be accountable without it becoming something demeaning to them. Now, I have put, when you see the labels on my books, I have put the guided reading levels on my books. But that's for my personal information, not to be used to tell a student, oh, well, you can only get level O books or you can only get this level of book. Okay, so that's my tangent on that. That's a whole separate video, a whole nother separate video. So let's get into how I'm organizing my books. I am, like I said, I will not be using bins. I'm using a labeling system, and I don't have the benefit of showing you how the books look on the shelf because I'm still organizing them and we're out of school anyway. So, okay, the first thing that I did was I took all of the books and I organized them by author last name. So that means I put, you know, in alphabetical order. I put the A's with the A's, B's with the B's, so on and so forth. Then what I did was I created a label I'm creating a label for each book, and it's really easy to do. Let me let you look at how it looks. Okay, so let's just take these for example. Here are my authors with the last name A. So you see her, like the last name to this author is Ashton. Okay, so all of my A books labels are in yellow, and then the label that you see at the top will be the guided reading level. Okay, so that means that this book is a level P. Now, because I am still learning how to level books, I am using an app to help me to label my books, and it is the Scholastic app. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Book Wizard, but just in case you're not, I'm going to show you how that looks. So here is Book Wizard. And so inside of Book Wizard, once you download it, you create yourself an account if you don't have a Scholastic account already. If you do, just log into your Scholastic account, and then you're going to click on Scan a Book. So when you scan the book, when you click on Book Scan, all you have to do is, let me show you an example. All you have to do is to put the red line on the barcode, and then it's going to give you a reading. Now, if you see here, sometimes it doesn't give you guided reading. Now, different districts use different levels. Some people use Lexile levels. Our district do not use Lexile. They use guided reading level. I know that for a fact just from working with my English language arts partner. So now, this gave me the Lexile level. So what I did was I went online, and then I found a conversion chart that gave me all of the leveling conversions. And so I will put a link down to that below, but let me just show you what it looks like. So this is a chart that shows all of the different leveling according to grade level. It shows all of the reading levels. So whether you use Lexile, AR, DRA, Fontons, or guided reading, this is a chart that shows all of the different levels. And so it's basically a conversion chart. So if you are interested in that, I will put it in the description box below in a link so that you can have that too. Now, so what I had to do was to use that chart to convert this level. And so I know that based on the Lexile, this is a level P book. Okay, so let's do another one. Let me choose another book. Okay, so when I scan on this book, okay, so here it gives me both the DRA and the guided reading level. So we use guided reading, and so I know that this book is a level T book. Okay, so now there's good and bad things about using Scholastic Book Smart is it doesn't give you all the levels. So what I'm gonna have to do once I get to school is I will have to, the ones that it didn't identify for me, I'm gonna have to go in and have someone to help me to get the rest of the books leveled. I'm sure, according to my work partner, once over time, I'll be able to recognize what level the book is just by looking at the vocabulary and the wording inside the book, because she said she can recognize it. So I'm looking forward to that time. But until then, I am using Booksmart, the app, to help me to get that done. So now, back to the system that I'm using. So now every single book in my library is going to have a label. So the label at the bottom will be the author, will be by author. So if the last name is A, then all of those books will have an A on it. If the last name is B, then they will have a B on it. And then the top level is going to be my guided reading label to let me know what level the book is actually on for the student. So this is how that looks. This is my A books. I only have 3 A books. So here is my section of B's. And then the C's, and you get it. You get the picture. So if I did put all of the author labels have different colors so that they will be easy to identify once I put them on the book shelf. So this is why I'm not using bins. I'm not using bins because I want the labels to be identified, and so that it will be easy for the students to just go into Library Cat, find the book they want, and then they can go right to, they can look it up either by the cover or the author's name, and then they will be able to easily go right to the shelf and pull it without having to fumble through a bin, because that will drive me insane. All right, so now let me show you how like I said, every letter has a different color, but I kept all of the levels, the ones that I was able to identify, in yellow. So all of the leveling labels will be in yellow on every single book. And you can do that however you choose to do it. So now, once in order to create the labels, let me show you. To create the labels, all you have to do is to go to Avery and download a label template into a Word document. So it was very, very simple for me to create the labels. I didn't go out and buy labels. I didn't feel like going to the store. So the only thing that I did was I went and I downloaded a template, an Avery address label template, and then I inserted a text box into each label. And then, like I said, here are my leveling labels, my guided reading level labels. And then I was on the G's and the H section for authors. And so those are the green and the red labels are the actual author labels. So, for those of you who feel like you don't want to do that much work, I will put a link to, I will have this already laid out for you in my TPT store, and it's not going to be unreasonable. I may charge $2 or $3 for it. So, if that. So I'm going to put that in my TPT store because it's really easy and it's something that you can create yourself, and I'm not going to charge $7 or $8 for something that you can do your own self. Okay, so let's see, what else do I need to show? I'm trying to see that I get everything out. Okay, so how do I get the labels on the books? I basically just you're going to need scissors, and this is printed on a regular 8.5 and 11 sheet of paper using my printer, and you're going to need some clear tape. Here's why I like clear tape over labels, because students already like to pick at stuff. And the labels, they may or may not stay on there. And then even if you do labels, they may fade over time. And you're still going to have to likely go back over them with clear tape anyway. So you may as well save yourself some money and print it out on a regular sheet of paper, cut it out, and then just tape over it. Just use a wide enough piece of tape. And I actually double taped mine, where I put the author label first with one piece of tape, and then I came back over it again and put the guided reading level label with another piece of tape. So in addition to that, I'm doing book repair as I go, which is why I'm only on the H section. So for any book that seems like it needs, I'm just trying to find an example. Any book that seems like, oh, here's one, a perfect example. Any book that seems like it needs some spine repair, I'm actually triple labeling it, triple taping it, because I'm putting down a piece of tape first, and then I'll put a label for a piece of tape for one label, and then another piece of tape for the other label, just to make sure that it's secure, because some of these books are pre-loved. So, that's basically it to my system of how I'm going to run my library next year. I'm super, super excited about that. It will be totally digital. I will have to do very minimum to keep the library running is really going to be student led, because the students will be in charge of checking the books out and checking the books in. The only thing that I have to do is just to make sure that I put how many days the books, they are allowed to keep the books, and just to make sure that the books are being turned in on time. Also, Library Thing has a way that you can go in and print out if the books are late, if the books are missing, so that you can send notices home to parents. And it is also a way of documentation to help you to keep track of who has what book. And then if the book is missing, you can send a notice home to the parents, so that if they don't return it, then the parent is more likely to take responsibility and pay for the missing book. So I'm hoping that this kind of minimizes all of that, and that we're able to keep up with the books in a responsible manner, because books are pricey. And unless you're getting an incredible deal like I did, finding a lot of books like at Goodwill and the thrift store, but it's still, all of that still adds up. And because they don't give us a budget for doing classroom libraries are totally out of your own pocket. I feel that I needed some type of way to manage and keep track of all of my books. So if you feel that you need a separate video on Library Thing or Library Cat, put a comment down below, and I'll do a separate video on those. But until then, this is how I'm organizing my books. I have not finished. I'm only up to section 8. I'm only on the H's. I still have quite a ways to go, if you can see by all the books on my floor. And I'm sure it'll be appreciated once I get everything up and out of here. Because what I plan to do is, once I'm done, I'm just going to go to Walmart, get 2 black empty bins, and just they will already be labeled and ready to go. And I'm just going to store the books in the bins until it's time for us to go back to school. One other thing that I'm still going to have to do is to find some type of stamp, so that I can stamp the inside of the books with my name. I really don't know that I want to. I thought about just putting a label on the front, but students pick those, and it drives me insane when students pick at labels. So I'm thinking that I'm going to just put a stamp. I'm going to just have some type of stamp made with my name on it, and then I'm just going to ink stamp my name inside of each book, and possibly across where the pages are, so that it's easily identifiable and returnable with my name on them. So anyway, that's all I have today. I hope I didn't bore anybody. So once I get my bins, I'm going to just store the books inside of the bins until the next school year. So that is basically the entire system. So if you have learned anything today, I will ask that you please consider subscribing to my channel and clicking the notification bell button, so that you can receive further updates. Please consider subscribing. Don't be a YouTube hater. A lot of people I noticed with YouTube, they'll go and troll everybody's sites and never subscribe. And it's really ridiculous, because I feel that we are supposed to be there to help one another. If you're growing your channel, that's great. If I watch your videos all the time, there is no way that I'm not going to subscribe. So anyway, that's a whole nother video, and I'm going to save those comments for a later time. But if you like what you see, and if you have learned anything, please do me a favor. Please consider liking and subscribing my video. And until the next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.